ሄሎ ጤና ይስጥልን እንደምን አላችሁ? ዛሬ የኢትዮጵያ ዩኒቨርሲቲ ኢንትራንስ ኤግዛም ጥያቄ 15 16 48 እና 65ን ይዘን ቀርበናል። ይህ ከ2014 ፈተና ላይ ነው። እስቲ አብረን እንስራው። All right. Let's do question number 15. Question number 15 is on a group data, frequency distribution on a group data. And here the questions are to find mean and standard deviations. To find a mean and standard deviation, we have formulas for both of them. The mean is calculated by the sum of the median frequency times frequency divided by the total number of frequencies. So we will find out what the frequency or the total number of frequency is, and also the frequency times the midpoint of each data point or data group. So let's find out. So the class intervals are given, that's from the table. And the frequency is also from that table. So those are the givens. The class interval and frequency, there is no change on that. But x, the mean of the class interval, is calculated by x1 plus x2 divided by 2. የመጀመሪያውና መጨረሻውን በመደመር ለሁለት በማካፈል ሚድ ፖይንቶቹን የእያንዳንዱን ክላስ ኢንተርቫል እናገኛለን። የሚቀጥለው ላይ ይህን ሚድ ፖይንት በፍሪኩዌንሲ እናባዘዋለን። So we'll multiply each midpoint of the CI by the frequency. And then we'll find out the total number of frequency, which is 20, and also the total number of frequency times the midpoints. So it's going to be 300 divided by 200. That will give you 15, 1-5. So we found the mean. That's the mean, that's it. We're done with the mean. So from A and B could be the answer, but we're not sure which one it is. So we have to find the standard deviation. The standard deviation also have a formula. It starts with the variance. First we have to find the variance. Then we will find the standard deviation. So the variance. Let's find x minus the midpoint of x squared. That means all we have to do is x minus x, that is 10, this mean minus, the mean is 15, minus 10, which is f times x. So you get 10 squared is 25, 100, and then we have 15 minus 20, 15 minus 10 is 5 squared is 25, and also 15 minus 20 is minus 5 squared is 25. But 15 minus 15 is 0. That's why you see that 0 in the middle. The next thing you do is you multiply this by the frequency again. So when you multiply this by the frequency, so 2 times 100 is 200, 2 times 25 is 50, 10 times 0 is 0, 6 times 25 is 150. So that is a 400 divided by the frequencies. The total number of frequencies is 20. So 400 divided by 20 is 20. So the standard deviation is going to be the square root of this variance, which is 20. So the square root of 20, the square root of the variance is the square root of 20. The square root of 20 is equal to 2 times the root of 5. Because when you do 2 squared is 4. 4 times 5 is 20 if you put it inside the square root. All right. I hope it's simple and direct forward. All you have to do is remember the formulas, the mean, variance, and standard deviation. All right, let's do the next question. The next question is question number 65. This one is also the same thing or similar somehow. Still, you have a group data, and in this group data, they give you the class intervals and the frequencies. So what we're going to do is we just copy everything down here, the class interval and the frequencies, and then just like earlier, we'll find the total number of frequencies, the midpoint of the CI, so the midpoint of the CI is simple. You just add 48 plus 52 and then divide it by 2. 53 plus 57 plus, you add them and divide them by 2. The same thing you do for all of them. And then you multiply this by the frequency. 9 times 50 is 450, 15 times 55, 825, 20 times 60, 1200, 10 times 65, 650, 6 times 70, it will give you 420. So the total number of frequency is 60, and the frequency times the midpoint and their sum is going to be 3,545. Now let's find the cumulative frequency. The cumulative frequency is you just add from the top to the bottom, one on top of the other, and get to the last one. The last one should give you the total number of the frequency. So 9 plus 15 is 24, 24 plus 20 is 44, 44 plus 10 is 54, and so on. Then we have to find the LCB. So the lower class boundary is calculated from by adding the class boundary, the lowest of the current one and the highest of the next one, and dividing them by 2. So 52 plus 53 divided by 2, and 57 plus 58 divided by 2, 62 plus 63 divided by 2, and 67 plus 68 divided by 2 will give you the lower class boundary. Okay, next, based on the median frequency of 30, let's find the median class observation. It lies between the class interval of 58 and 62. And this, the class size of this observation is going to be the upper bound minus the lower bound, which is 62.5 minus 57.5, which is 5. And the cumulative frequency of the class preceding the median class is 24. Remember, our target is to find B, the median weight, if it is 60. So let's find the LCB. The LCB is 57.5, and the median weight is equal to the LCB plus the median frequency minus the cumulative frequency preceding the current observation. And then that's the frequency, the cumulative frequency at this point times the class size. So we know the LCB is 57.5 plus the median frequency is 30 minus the class frequency, the cumulative frequency preceding the current is 24. If you see 44 and 24 in green, 24, divided by the frequency of the cumulative frequency of this observation is 44, times the class size 5, which will give you 58.2, which is not the same thing as what's given there, median weight 60 kilogram. So let's check C now. Since we have weight, the median weight, all we have to do is find the other two averages, the mean and the mode. To say it is positively skewed, the distribution, the mean must be greater than the median, and the median must be greater than mode. So let's find the mode first. Next, let's calculate the mode. The mode is equal to LCB plus the current cumulative frequency minus the preceding cumulative frequency divided by the current cumulative frequency minus the preceding cumulative frequency plus the current cumulative frequency minus the next cumulative frequency. All this times C, the class size. So that will give you your mode. And next, let's find the mean. If you remember, the mean is just the sum of frequency times the midpoints divided by the total frequency. So this should give us, that's 3,545 divided by 60, which is 59.1. If you look here, 59.1 is yeah, it is the highest of the three. 59.1 is bigger than the median, 58.2, which is bigger than the mode, 58.84. Therefore, that C is the correct answer. But let's see the rest of them too. Next, we'll try to show you why A and D are not the answers. So let's start from A, the interquartile range of the distribution. It says it should be 9.5, but it's not 9.5, and we'll show you why it's not. So to find the interquartile range, we have to find the third quartile and the first quartile using the same formula, except when it is a third, we multiply by 3, the n divided by 4. Otherwise, we're going to use the same formula for both of them. To see which class interval we have to observe, we will multiply 3 times the total number of frequency divided by 4. It will give you 45. So you have to look at the 45 cumulative frequency. The cumulative frequency at 45 will give you the interval from 58 to 62. For that, the LCB is 57.5. Then you use the same formula to find the previous cumulative frequency and also the current cumulative frequency. And you substitute everything and you'll get 62.75. You know, the width is from previous LCB to the current LCB, it is 5. Similarly, we'll find the first quartile using the same formula. And we have to find the width, which is the same thing, 5. And also we have to find where the first quartile frequency lie. So 1 times 60 divided by 4, 15. And for 15, the PCF, the previous cumulative frequency, is 9, and the frequency of the quartile is 15. If you substitute everything, LCB will be 47.5, the lower cumulative frequency, lower bound, and your result will be 49.5. So the interquartile is going to be quartile 3 minus quartile 1, 62.75 minus 49.5, which is 13.25, which is not the same as the 9.5 given there. Next, we'll do the same thing for the percentile. The percentile is a direct formula, so I will let you read through it, follow this formula, and you'll find out. If the 75% of the student weight is above 54.5 kilogram. which is not. All right, just remember the formulas to do all the statistics questions. Next, let's see the next question. Question number 16. In this case, we have a given matrix and also some facts. Those facts, the transpose of A times M will give you 2 times identity matrix. So usually what we have to remember here is the transpose of A, then transpose again, should give you back the actual matrix. When we say identity matrix, it is a 3 by 3 because this is a 3 by 3. 3 by 3 matrix. So if we say A transpose times M will give you 2 times identity matrix, then we can multiply both sides by the inverse of M. And we should get A transpose times identity matrix is equal to 2 times identity matrix times M. But since identity matrix times any matrix is the matrix itself, A transpose will be twice of the inverse of matrix M. This means if you do both sides, also transpose both sides of them, you will get A is equal to 2 times the inverse of matrix M transposed. So if we have this fact, then we can easily find what the inverse of M is now. The inverse of M, we can use one of the methods to find the inverse, which is using identity matrix. You can calculate your inverse. To do this, we'll eliminate line by line. For instance, in this case, we'll add R2 and R1 to get R1. So we'll copy row 2 and 3 as they are. There is no change there. But on row 1, we have to add it to row 2. When we do that, we get 3, 0, 2, and 1, 1, 0. We'll do the same thing until we exchange the two, the identity and the matrix, which will give us the inverse. Now we'll multiply row 3 by 2 and subtract 3 times R1 to give us R1. So this is just to have that 1 on the first quadrant. Then we do the same thing until we eliminate, move everything to the other side and have identity on this side. So on this next one, we are doing 2 rows because the 2 rows don't have any relationship, R2 and R3. So we will make them 0 on the second row, first column, and on the third row, first column. So we'll do the same thing, like I said, until we reach We will convert everything on this side to identity. I'll create a separate video to explain all this, how to do it, but the formula should tell you what is happening, which row we are replacing it with what values. Right now we are replacing row 3 by multiplying row 2 minus row 3, multiplying row 2 by 6 and then subtracting row 3. So that means we're not touching row 1 and 2. We keep them as they are. And then እንዳሉ እንተዋቸውና row 3 ግን በ6 እያባዛን row 2ን ከrow 3 ጋር እንደምረዋለን ማለት ነው። ይሄ row 3 ይሰጠናል። Okay, in this case we are going to replace row 1 by subtracting row 1 from row 2. So we're not touching row 3 and row 4. So we are focusing on row 1. So subtracting row 2 from row 1 will give us 130 and minus 4 minus 3 and 2 when we replace it with row 1. The next one is 5R2 minus R3 to replace row 2. So we'll keep row 1 and row 3 as they are. We're not changing them from the previous step. ከቀድሞ step ምንም የምንቀይረው ነገር የለም። በrow 1 እና በrow 3 ላይ ፎከሳችን row 2 ነው። row 2 ላይ 5 ጊዜ row 2ን አባዝተን ከrow 3 ላይ መቀነስ ነው። አሁን ደግሞ row 1 በ5 አባዝተን ሲቀነስ row 2 3 times row 2 to replace row 1. Row 1 or replace ለማድረግ. That means row 2 and 3 there will be no change. ምንም አይነት ለውጥ አይኖርም በrow 2 እና በrow 3 መካከል። Then we'll multiply 5 times R1, then subtract 3 times R2 from it, and write that in place of row 1. The next step is very simple. All we have to do is multiply row 1 by 1 over 5, multiply row 2 by 1 over 5, multiply row 3 by 1 over 10. This is to have an identity on the first groups here. On the second group of the matrix, we will have our M inverse. Remember, we said A is equal to 2 times the inverse of M transposed. So we will transpose them and multiply it by 2. And this is our matrix A. If we know A, then finding the determinant of A is very simple. This is a formula to look up to do the determinant of A. You can Google it on how to find determinant of a matrix, a 3 by 3 matrix, and that should show you what the formula is. You can choose any of the row and then use the appropriate sign for determinant calculation, and you should get 0.8. which is C on this question. Check it out and let me know if you have any question on this. ወይም ሌላ በአማርኛ ዲተርሚናንት ኤ ለ3 by 3 matrix እንዴት እንደሚፈለግ and inverse of M እንዴት እንደሚፈለግ ለየብቻ ሰርቻ አስቀምጥላችኋለሁ just to understand it. How to find inverse of M and determinant of any matrix. All right, let's go to the next question. The next question, question number 48. In this question, you are given a square card and they want you to maximize the volume of a box that's created from this square card. Given the length is 72 centimeter long, and the width is also 72 centimeter long because it is a square card. But we don't know what the height is. Let's assume it is x. We know to find a volume from a volume formula. The volume is equal to height times length times width. We don't know the height. Let's assume it is x. If the height is x, then the length would be 72 centimeter minus 2 times x centimeter. And also the same thing for the width. Where did we get the 2 times x? Because when we cut from the top and the bottom, also from the width from the two sides. That's why we have to subtract 2 times x. So the volume formula will be x centimeter times 72 centimeter minus 2x centimeter times 72 centimeter minus 2x centimeter. Let's remove that centimeter and put it outside. So it's going to be x times 72 minus 2x times 72 minus 2x centimeter cube. That's for the volume. So we can answer this question using a derivative, but there is also another way, a shortcut that we could do, plug and play, the substitution method. Some people are fast, calculating this using derivative. You could do that, but let me show you how to use the substitution. So let's say if x is 6 centimeter. If x is 6 centimeter, all you have to do is replace 6 in place of that x and find out the volume. If x is 12 centimeter, we do the same thing. If x is 15 centimeter, we do the same thing. And if x is 24, we do the same thing. And we'll see which one is giving us the highest volume. አንደኛው መንገድ በመተካት ነው። ሌላው ደግሞ ደሪቬቲቭን በመጠቀም ነው። እዚህኛው ላይ በመተካት ለምን ፈተና ላይ በፍጥነት የምትመልሱበትን መንገድ መጠቀም ጥሩ ነው እና በመተካት ብንጠቀም ለምሳሌ በኤክስ ቦታ 6ን እያስገባን ቮሊዩሙን ብንፈልገው የዚህ ውጤቱ የመጀመሪያው 21600 ሴንቲሜትር ኪዩብ ይሆናል። For x is equal to 6, it's going to be 21,600 centimeter cube. And when x is 12, we replace x with 12 and the result will be 27,648 centimeter cube. Let's see the rest of them and compare which one is the correct answer. But this is the correct answer, 27,648 centimeter cube. If x is 15, by replacing x with 15 in the volume formula, you have 15 times 72 minus 2 times 15, 72 minus 2 times 15. So you multiply all three together, and you'll get 26,460 centimeter cube. If x is 24 centimeter, again we do the same thing. We replace x with 24, and we do 72 minus 2 times 24 times 72 minus 2 times 24, and this will give us volume of 13,824 centimeter cube. So the highest of